Hey there, and welcome to the A.D.K Rock and Metal channel. I, of course, am Dave. There's no Kirk or Andy with me today, but who I do have with me is Paul Martin from the wonderful Devilskin. Welcome to the channel.
Oh, thank you, Dave. Thanks so much for having me on. Really appreciate it.
I've been wanting to get you guys on for quite a while now. You're a band that I came across 2016, 2017, I guess. And I think the first track I ever heard was Mountains. So it probably would have been around 2017's. I saw the video, fell in love with the band. And we recently on the A.D.K channel also covered Prey and Mountains with Kirk and Andy. So we did a bit of a reaction breakdown to talk about it.
Yeah.
Which is one of our favourite things to do, is kind of dissect bands, especially for those guys that are not the rock metal guys. They're more of the death metal and extreme metal. So I love throwing them a bit of melody. Give them a bit of melody, they love it.
Yeah, everyone's got a valid perspective, you know? Everyone has, so it's great.
What we like to prove is that you can have people have three different guys from completely different musical tastes that can still get on and have an honest debate about music and not have to get into fisticuffs. It's great.
Yeah.
Before I get into talking about Devilskin, I wanted to talk a little bit around radio, because a lot of people, I didn't actually know this but about it, because obviously I'm not from New Zealand, we're here in the UK, but you did the Axe Attack on radio, which has been on air for 31 years, which is the
33.
longest. 33. Gee, okay, 33.
Yeah.
There, I got that fact wrong. 33 years, which is the longest. Is it the longest running station or
running
channel?
music show in New Zealand music history? Yeah. It's crazy. So I kind of fell into it by mistake, Dave. I was playing in a band called Nightshade, and we got interviewed on the local university radio station.
Right.
And I just got on really well with the DJ, and we had the same record collections. You know, this is back in '87, and we just got on like a house on fire. And he goes, "Hey, dude, you should really, co-host the show I've started." And I'm like, I don't want to be a radio guy because I know radio, folks. I'm a musician. They're kind of like, but I started doing it. Johnny left, and it was all up to me. And carried it through, and finally got sick of student radio and all the gear being broken and that. And then a rock station started up here in 1992. So put a case to them, and all of a sudden, I was getting paid $30 a week as well. So, woo. But yeah, just playing hard rock and metal 2 hours a night, and then it went up to 3 hours a night. And I focus a lot on Kiwi stuff. I do at least 1/3 of New Zealand bands and stuff. So I'm trying to give everyone a break. And, Judas Priest, Black Sabbath, Anthrax, just all the good stuff that people don't hear anywhere else. So the show had longevity, and it had a really staunch, loyal fan base, and still has. Unfortunately, with COVID, 300 people from the radio industry got sacked. And they just cleared everything out, and so the second week of COVID, I lost my radio show, and since then I've just had the Facebook platform for it, but no radio platform. But still working on that. But it is a passion of mine, and as you know, once you get into the radio thing and you're playing music for the right people, it's just such a buzz.
Was there any point during that period where you got to a point you're like, this is just not for me, and you were looking at the way out, or was it always, you always had that passion?
Yeah, I just always had that passion, and it's just always exciting for me discovering new bands. Like I'm the first person in the country to play Disturbed and System of a Down and stuff like that. I had some good contacts, so I was getting stuff early, and I'd get really excited about it. It was great to see other people get excited about music as well. It's just something I'm still super passionate about.
You talked about obviously getting the new music. So in the period of time that you did this, I'm sure you were getting people sending in CDs going, will you play this music? Maybe some of the people trying to do the unsolicited route, and
all of it.
I'm really intrigued from your point of view. What advice, with all the bands that are coming out now that are always trying to think about putting their music out there, you must have seen some great stuff that came out to you with the great publications, amazing production, and then you must have seen some real, not quite up to par quality. What would you give to people that are trying to go down that route of approaching radio stations and stuff?
I would tell them just to concentrate on one song, and it might not be their favorite. They have to ask, the band needs to ask their friends, their girlfriends, everyone around them, what song are you vibing with the most? And because everyone's going to have a different perspective on their own songs. So you get a good indication of from other people what your hot song is, and record that and spend everything you've got on one good song, because I'd rather hear one good song than 7 average demos, you know. If you want it to stick out, because the landscape's changed, and kids are sitting at home getting some pretty good quality recordings, you know, on their home systems and stuff. So yeah, my advice, pick one song, make it really, really good, and put your whole heart and soul into it. And momentum is the big key. That's what I tell bands now if they ask for any advice. It's just get momentum and keep it up. If you had a good gig on Saturday night, right, get the boys in the rehearsal room on Monday and keep striving, book another gig, get things, you know, just keep it all rolling.
Keep it rolling.
So, and it's funny, the way you introduced that, I must have got some pretty dodgy demos. Well, I really did, seriously, cassettes and all sorts of, you'd open up a packet and dozens of pieces of plastic would fall out in a CD with a scribble on it and stuff like that. But I tried to always listen to one, and it's funny because one of the bands that sent in a demo just like that, wasn't put together very well. It all fell to pieces when I opened the envelope, and it was a Rotorua band called Slipping Tongue. And I thought, oh, odd name. Look, they didn't go to any trouble really to get this in front of me, so I'm going to put it in this pile and listen to it later. And a couple of days later, I'm feeling guilty, so I thought I better put it on. Sure enough, the drums start. Oh, it's recorded in a toilet. Oh, and then the guitar starts, and everything's kind of. And then these vocals come in, and it was a young Jenny Schoolander, and she was 15 or 16. I heard this voice, and I got chills. I got goosebumps, and thought, man, I'm putting this on air. It doesn't matter how dodgy it is. There's an X factor right there, and that was Jenny, and that's how I first sort of met Jen, and I championed her band Slipping Tongue for a couple of years. Produced a song with them, and then eventually they split up, and I went, right, you're coming with me.
That's the way to do it, I guess.
Oh, mate, it just felt like it was meant to be, you know, it really did.
I mean,
and now, of course, Jenny,
her voice is amazing.
Yeah, and she's married to my wife's brother now, so, you know, there's no escape for her from my family.
I mean, do you think for bands, I guess now, so with the fact we've got streaming platforms like, well, the dreaded beginning with S, which I'm not going to publicise, but with those streaming platforms, do you think there is still validity in bands going after radio play?
Radio play hasn't got any easier. It seems to have got worse. It seems to have got dumbed down. We're on a good trajectory here in New Zealand for a while, where they're playing a lot of good Kiwi music and really supporting the scene. But yeah, it's kind of watered down now, and the radio doesn't seem to have the same impact. Obviously, a lot of people are streaming their stuff at home, and it's harder to reach them, I guess, in a lot of ways. In some ways, it's easier because anyone can get their song out on a digital platform, but there's so much out there. You've really got to convince people why they need to listen to your song and that it's special and stuff. So, you know, it's a difficult, ever-changing landscape for bands and musicians to try and negotiate through. But I mean, the platforms are here now. The bands aren't getting anything. You know, with the sales that Devilskin's done, if it was back in the blooming 80s, I'd have a nice boat now. I'd have a 3-car garage and stuff. Yeah. You know, but with digital, like, no one gets paid shite, and it's, you know, it's just the way it is. But you can hear, you know, send someone in Zimbabwe your song instantly. You know.
I know, but it's really funny because I did a video for the channel about a week ago where I literally said that my title of the video was bands are actually their own worst enemy, and labels, because actually if all the record labels and all the bands went, we're not putting stuff on streaming anymore, we're only going to do physical media or digital downloads, the streaming platforms would go, we've got nothing to sell anymore. And suddenly you would shut all the streaming platforms down if the bands and the record labels said we're not doing it anymore. But they won't. It's just but that suddenly you go, well, hang on, you're cutting you're choosing to do this as a record label. Yeah. Why?
And the gatekeepers of the big numbers on those platforms, like your Drake and your Beyonce and all that, they're making massive money through those platforms where no one else gets a skirt, and it's only because they've got billions of streams and stuff like that. You know, I think it works out to 175 physical units equals a stream of your album. Selling 175 units. So Yeah, it's a tough game, man. It's really tough, and bands have to be good. They have to be onto it, and they got to do the groundwork if they want to get any notice at all in this landscape.
Well, do you also have within the industry over in playing in New Zealand? Do you still have the same issue with playing live? The amount of money that you have to give for merch to the venues, which I know in a lot of cases around sort of anywhere between 25-30%.
Yeah, there's only one venue here that does it, which is awesome. I mean, yeah, it'd be awesome if they didn't do it. It really sucks when they do it because, that's the ticket price for most bands will cover your production, and the bigger the ticket price, the bigger production you can get. But for the band to get to the next level, put something in the bank and actually have something, we really rely on merch. And so when a venue comes in and you've got to pay them for the PA and the sound person, this and that and the other in the room, and then they take a cut of your merch money as well, that's man, horrible. It's just sick. So yeah, there's only one venue as far as I know in New Zealand that's doing it, and it's a great venue, it really is. But yeah, it's a shame they rip the bands off like that. And it's the only chance we've got to make money sometimes.
It does seem like there was someone else put a video out on YouTube where they took an arena band that had earned £100,000 roughly from ticket sales as their gross, and they worked out that at the end of the night, after everything was taken away, they actually took home 13,000 out of 100 grand. That was all they got as a band to split, and you're like, that's insane. You've just given away £87,000 to cover to the venue, to cover your merch, the gear, the equipment.
Yeah, I mean, all the costs have gone up. Like you're paying your crew members more, you're paying more for your hireage of lights and sound and people. Everything's gone up. So bands look to crack even, and I'd say they'd be reasonably happy coming out of that. I mean, you don't look at the gross number because it's a distorted reality. You just upset yourself. Yeah, it's depressing. So you just, oh wow, we made this much. Oh cool, it's still a win. But yeah, it is tough, man. It's tough, and the thing is, all bands want to record good songs, and it costs money, and the more you spend on it, the better the recording's going to sound. So it's kind of this wicked cycle.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've got to have your heart in it, otherwise you're not going to get anywhere.
I mean, when you started Devilskin, did the fact that you were doing the radio station, did that help you with contacts, or did you just put Devilskin music on heavy rotation? How did it work? Did it give you any bonus?
I'm the guy, like, I listen to other jocks on radios, and I've heard them in the past go, oh, this is my band, and it just sounds awful. So I would always introduce Devilskin in the third person, and it was usually when someone requested it. I didn't hammer it down people's throats because I didn't want to be that guy,
Yeah.
Working for the radio station was probably a giant handicap for the rest of the band because I was doing the metal show. So I'd go up there to see the boss, and I'd say, hey man, my band's just recorded this song, I really want you to have a listen. And it's, that metal guy, it'll be a metal song, it'll be all whoa, whoa, whoa. So no one gave me the time of day for about 6 months. I think it took fully a year for them to actually listen to Little Pills, our first song, and put it on radio. And the program director, oh man, patting me on the back going, oh bro, I don't think it's really something our audience would like, and I can't hear a hook in there, but sing it's you, bro, sing it's you, we'll give it a shot on late nights and see how it goes. So 2 years later, that song Little Pills took out their top 500 competition, and they run over a week, So the cool thing from us was that it got built from the ground up. The audience was ringing the radio station and hassling them, the crap out of them, to play Devilskin. I'd play a little bit, but like I say, I didn't want to. I'd play a lot of the heavier songs, obviously, and keep away from the singles. But yeah, I never went, oh, this is my band. I just say, here's Devilskin from the Waikato. They're doing this, they're doing that, whatever. So I didn't sound like too much of a dork. But there's two major radio stations, two companies that own all the radio stations here, and because I was working for one, the other radio station wouldn't touch us. They wouldn't. They're called Radio Hauraki. Yeah, and they would not touch us. And we'd even ring up our knives and ourselves at night and request our own songs, see if they're going to play it. And one night I get this guy and he says, oh bro, look, I'd really love to play that song. It's a great song, but between you and me, the boss has told us that we can't play that because one of those pricks works for the opposition. Because I was working for the other. And now the
Oh
guy
dear.
that told him that, I got the chance to talk to him, tell that guy, hey, that was me that you spoke to that time. And he goes, oh man, I'm really sorry. And the guy that was running that radio station that gave him that order is now running New Zealand on air, which is responsible for putting more New Zealand acts on air. So bitter irony, but yeah, that radio station. And then when I left the Rock and started with iHeartRadio, that was basically the same station as Hauraki, and they still wouldn't play us, and they still won't to this day. So God knows, I don't know what it is.
Oh dear. So a bit of a handicap then.
Unfortunately, radio is pretty political over here. It's really stupid, but it should be just about good songs. But unfortunately, it's quite political. So yeah, I had to say to the band, I'm really sorry. The station I work for aren't taking me seriously just yet, but hang in there and I'll try the other lot. And of course, there was no luck there. But yeah, we got through in the end, and one of the darlings of the Rock. I get on a lot better with the boss now that I don't work for him.
Let's talk a little bit about we're gonna cover the name bit anyway. So I like to now. You have been quoted as saying that Devilskin means everyone has a Devilskin, where you have a darker or evil side to yourself, as well as your angel skin, which is your lighter side. Yeah, so that's the explanation of the Devilskin name.
Yes, it is spot on. We didn't have a name. We'd got together and had a couple of jams, and it was feeling good. And we thought we have to come up with a name, and it's ridiculously hard to come up with a good name because the dumbest names work, don't they? The Beatles and the Foo Fighters. So we were just struggling, coming up with all sorts of things, and Jenny had written some lyrics to a song called Fade that we play, and it was about a relationship breakup. And I was reading into it, and it was like, well, the guy woke up one day and he's an angel, the next day he's an asshole. So it was like he could put this different skin on, become someone else. So I just went, how about Devilskin? And everyone went, oh, sounds whack, but let's go with it and see what happens. I mean, you make your band name your own eventually.
So there wasn't any other like contenders for the band name, or was it just literally that first one that came out was that'll do?
Okay, so before Devilskin, I came up with here's Devil, right? Here's Gun, right? We're going, let's call ourselves Devil Gun and have this cool little symbol, right? Anyways, that's just stupid. No. But that was the only contender. No. Let me just say, no one else came up with any ideas, so, well, that's where we ended up.
Devilskin was a better one overall.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
I have to ask, the pink goatees then.
Yeah.
What?
Dimebag, of course.
So was it just purely because of the Dimebag influence, or was it case? Does it have any symbolic devil reference, or?
And initially, it was just the Dimebag thing. You know, we all love Dimebag and our little metal crew, and the Waikato here. There's a few people running around with blooming red tip beards, and then we started to play gigs. We thought, hey, why not? Let's just go blooming full on, because it's a sad trick of God, but a nail looks remarkably like me, and people think we're twins or something because we've got shaved heads and goatees, you know. But it's quite funny because when I tell them the rest of the band is related, but just not him, it freaks people out a bit. But yeah, I mean, we had the symmetry thing going on, same height, same blooming bald head and same beard, and we were the handsome bookends on the end with Jenny in the middle, you know.
Yeah. It looks great because that was what the guys, when we were doing the reaction to Mountains, they were first thing that Andy said on the reaction was like, I love the pink beards. He said they look really cool. And I was like, yeah, they do, but I didn't know if there was a symbolic reason or if it was meant to symbolize or a deeper meaning.
It just kind of happened like that, and we stuck with it. And you know, we'd be touring around and leaving hotel rooms and blooming green rooms covered in red. It looked like bloody Rob Zombie just filmed a movie in there or something. There'd be red shit everywhere. Bit of fun.
I've got to go on to Be Like the River recording because did you record this in England?
Yes, in Tetbury.
So why? Obviously, you're in New Zealand, so why record in England? What was the reason for doing it here? Were you touring? What was the?
Well, we were touring, and it made a lot of sense. Plus, there was a producer that we wanted to use, Clint Murphy, and he was a Kiwi guy, and we'd worked with him on our first album, We Rise, and then he was based over there in Tetbury and was recording bands like Bullet for My Valentine and a whole bunch of cool stuff. And we booked ourselves on a UK tour, and and did that, and then recorded the album while we were there, and then flew to the US and played a couple of shows in Hollywood, including the Whiskey A Go Go, which was freaking unreal. So yeah, it just worked out nicely, and trying to think of the name of the studios there. It's totally escaped me. But yeah, it's an unreal little spot, like your atypical English town where nothing's changed for like 6 centuries, and you got your cobblestones and everything. And right in the middle of nowhere was this world-class, amazing studio, and it was walked in and we absolutely loved it. Well, I think we spent 2 weeks there, and yeah, had a great time. Loved it.
I'm guessing you found one of our nice local pubs to frequent while you were there.
Several. Oh, they're all next door to each other. You can't go wrong in England. Absolutely love it.
It's a great place to go. If you get the country pubs and all the old wooden beams and the stuff on tap, it's a.
Oh yeah, and you walk in there, two of you looking like twins with your leather jackets and your red beards. It's going to make the town talk about you for a little while.
Yeah, I'm sure the word got around.
We went back there a year later, and we walked into the same pub, the Lazy Dog or something like that, the Snooty Fox, I think it was called. Right. Walked in there, and they go, "Oh, it's the Kiwis! It's the Kiwis from New Zealand." They remembered us after a year. It's going, well, things haven't changed much around Tetbury, have they?
No, that's it. That you made the newspaper that day, probably.
Yeah. Oh, it's a lot of fun. We absolutely love the UK. We just always have a great time when we're there. You know, it's always fun. I love seeing the history of the place and getting a good look around.
Can I ask about? I'm always intrigued as a musician myself, the writing process in a band, because there's lots of different ways people approach writing. It can sometimes be one person writes a lot of the track in its basic form and then gives it to the rest of the band. Everyone learns it, and then you kind of put the meat on the bones. Some people like to just purely jam, come in and just start riffing and writing. How does it work within Devilskin?
All of the above. Sometimes Snail comes to rehearsal with, pretty much a song nutted out, riff. Here's an idea for the bass, and, I want the drums to sort of go like this. So he'll either do that or I'll do that. I'll have a riff and come along and put stuff together. And, Nick does a lot of the writing. Nick's actually pretty awesome guitarist as well as drummer and bass player and keyboard player. Bullshit. But he comes to us with completed songs as well. And so Jenny's just got to put a vocal melody on. So, yeah, all of us are coming up with ideas all the time. Sometimes our best ideas have worked out, our best songs have worked out when we've just been all four of us in the room just jamming. Quite often we'll get book a batch somewhere, hire a little batch somewhere by some beach in the middle of nowhere and just throw all their furniture outside and take our band gear in and just jam for a couple of days and just work on songwriting. So that's worked for us as well in the past. But yeah, it's really, it comes from all directions. We all write. Jenny's just got this unerring blooming talent for melodies. We were jamming in the band room one time, and I think Niall had come up with this real cool riff, and we're just going over, Jenny, can you just sing something? Just sing anything. She's like, oh, okay. And she just after a couple of minutes, we stopped and went, that was absolutely beautiful. And we all got chills. And Jenny, this is amazing. What are you singing? And she was reading a woman's weekly magazine. She goes, it's a recipe for goulash. Yeah. And but that's her melody. She just puts this melody on top of everything, and we nut it out. And either Jenny or myself write all the lyrics for the band. And yeah, she just makes the simplest things sound beautiful. She's crazy.
I mean, does this help? Because as a band, you've been together for more than 10 years. And in a lot of cases with bands, you usually see a lineup change after a few years. Someone decides to move. Now, you've not had any lineup changes, which is unusual for bands.
Just
apart from right at the beginning.
Yeah, right at the beginning, our original drummer Rob.
Yes.
Left the band, was replaced by my son Nick, who was 15 at the time, and it was a bit of a press gang situation.
I do remember the early video when I first saw one of I think it was the first video you did, and I'm like, there's a kid on drums. What's going on?
Yeah. It was awesome. I tell you what, and Nick's just matured into this just incredible musician. I couldn't be prouder. Like, even at rehearsals, he'll do a drum fill and I'll get goosebumps, And he's quite possibly the best bandmate I've ever had. When you're rooming together, I feel sorry for him having to go everywhere with his dad, but it's really not that dynamic with bandmates as well. And he's just, yeah, he comes up with some incredible riffs and ideas, and he's really, really hands-on in the studio when we're producing stuff as well. So yeah, he's gone from that 15-year-old naive little kid banging the drums to, quite an artistic monster.
And in this period of time, have you ever had moments in the band where you've had to go, wait, listen to your father, do as you're told?
No, actually,
No.
no. It's probably been the other way around. That's right, Dad. We've got lobby call at 6, and you're in the strip club, and it's still 4. Come on. He's the responsible one. No, there's never been any of that dynamic. We've never had father son issues or anything on tour. And same with Jenny being Nick's auntie. There's no schism or anything.
Yeah.
It's just everyone's got a good idea of what they want, and everyone's worked really hard for this band. So we all take it definitely very seriously, and we know our parts, and you just got to have that faith in each other that everyone's pulling towards the same thing. And obviously challenging times for us, because we released our album Red, our third studio album, in 2020, right smack dam in the middle of bloody COVID. So it was a nightmare for us. So we were 10 days away from flying out to Europe for 7 weeks, because we'd just been through there with Hailstorm as main support for Hailstorm. We just had this fantastic tour, and we needed to get back there soon. And so 10 days away from that, and the world shut down, and airports were closed, COVID, it's just a mess. And then we still had to release our album. We could release it digitally, but at that stage, our government said you can't send anything through the mail, because people will catch the COVID off it.
Yeah.
So it scuppered us. We could release digitally, but not physically. And being a rock band, we rely on physical sales and stuff. So yeah, man, it was a real kick in the nuts, that whole COVID thing for the band. And so we've got to build our momentum back up in Europe and get back to England. And so it's been 3 years, 4 years probably since we've been there. So we just need to get back, climb back on the horse, and get over there and start again.
Because, you also have another project. What was it, World War IV?
World War IV, yeah.
That's
it's a 3-piece.
So I want to make sure I said that correctly. I didn't miswrite myself down. So this is what's this, more of a little side project sort of thing that you do, or?
Yeah, I've had it going since before Devilskin, but just a 3-piece. We've opened up for Motorhead a couple of times, opened up for Black Label Society, Steve Vai, a few gigs. It's a dirty little aggro metal thing. It's not thrash, it's not growly. I play guitar and sing. And I'm no Jenny Schoolander, that's for sure. But it's a great band. We have a lot of fun, and we've got a few songs on Spotify and that now.
Yeah, because the few things I have heard so far reminded me of, weirdly that you brought up Dimebag, because it actually reminded me quite a lot of Damage Plan.
Oh, really?
From the vibe of the tracks, I was listening to it, going, yeah, you've got a real kind of cool groove to it, and I was like, it's not the Pantera end, it's the more of the lighter groove stuff. But I was like, this is pretty sweet. I liked it.
Oh man, thanks. It's all about the groove, It's got to have a groove.
Yeah,
it comes out of me. It's got to have a groove, or it's no good.
Yeah. I had a thought, because I was looking at sort of the stuff that Devilskin have, the tours and the shows that you played, from the big supports to your own headlining shows. And I'm really intrigued from you from a band. What changes do you go through as a band when you're playing, where you go from something like we did in 2017, playing Download, and then the next day you're playing in the Wolverhampton at the Griffith Arms, which is a small pub venue? How does that affect you as a performer? How do you acclimatize your brain to going massive people, a tiny pub venue?
I totally hear you on that one. It's just a mindset, like I'm still in the mindset. I love playing in tiny little pubs and grotty little rooms, and having a challenge to get the best sound out of the PA that's there, and all the rest of it. And I'm kind of always in that mode. So when we do the bigger gigs, I'm like, well, this is pretty flash. I'm not going to get used to it, but hey, this is incredible. And wow, look at those people. And then, you say that, the next night you're playing to 40 or something like that. But I approach every gig the same. I think I still get butterflies, no matter if there's 13 people out there or 13,000. And it's just like, just get in the zone and want to do the best job that you can of playing your songs. Yeah, we've just done a tour here recently, and one night we were in Christchurch playing at this beautiful theatre, like absolutely gorgeous theatre to play in, and heaps of room for the crew and everything like that. And we've got a decent sized crew, and we travel with a 28-ton truck and stuff. So we've got a bit of gear. And then the next day, we had to drive 5 hours to Nelson, which is at the top of the South Island, and basically in this biker bar set up on the back of on the top of pool tables at the back of the room. So saying to the crew, don't get used to this because it's going to change tomorrow night. But that was a great gig too. It's just that they've all got their own personalities. The gigs all have their own vibe, and you just make the most of what you got at the time. I love playing to lots of people, but also love playing to a few people. I just love playing.
So I guess the final question for me then is, what's the plan going forward? Because we talked about, obviously, Red came out in what was done 2019, 2020, right, for the joy of COVID. So what's Devilskin going to be up to, apart from obviously the upcoming shows? What's the plan?
Okay, so we went to Australia in May, did a really cool tour over there, had a lot of fun, and we're going back in November. We're doing some shows with the Halo Effect and Beyond the Black, and Aussie band called Lagerstein, who are pirate metal, who drink beer out of their shoes. So
okay, this is Lagerfest, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, we've got a bit of tour over there in Aussie doing that. We've got a couple of New Zealand shows. We're writing songs at the moment. We've just released a song called Let Me Breathe to coincide with our tour. It's not getting any radio play over here because Jenny's growling in it. Radio won't touch it. But it's going down a treat live. We desperately need to we're just looking for a decent in to get back to Europe. Ideally with a band like a Hailstorm or something would be really good. But like I say, we've lost so much momentum. We kind of feel like we have to start again over there. So, and of course you can't come to another country without a new album. So it's all got to start here. We're writing at the moment, want to record early in the new year, and our plan would be to be back in UK and Europe, hopefully for your summer. Excellent.
I mean, I'm gonna tag on an extra question. I know I said that was my last question, but I've got an abbreviation. Point 2. There is a common practice now that we're starting to see where bands are no longer doing album releases. There seems to be this new trend that we're just going to do singles, and we're going to drop a new single every couple of months to keep Spotify interest going. Are you going to be thinking about doing that and dropping multiple singles and then dropping an album after about 4 singles have come out or something like that?
Possibly. I mean, it costs a lot of money to record an album over here or anywhere. So it always takes us extended amount of time, and it's never quite as quick as you want it. So it's always good to be able to get a couple of songs out first, get everyone built up for it, and then when you release the album, have the tour with that. Ideally that's what we'll probably do. It's just the way that the industry and the platforms and all that run now. I guess people are more single orientated for the whole Instagram thing rather than waiting for an album. I'm old school, so I love albums. I love hearing a whole album come out. But we all realise that the whole landscape has changed, so you just got to roll with whatever works. We knew we probably weren't going to get any airplay with this latest single because it's got growling on it, and we didn't care. We put it out. Our fans love it, and still getting heaps of hits on YouTube and stuff like that. The 2 radio stations over here, won't touch it.
You have to send it to the UK. They love the growly vocals over here.
I know. It's just like New Zealand's so close to Antarctica sometimes. It's
Well, I just wanted to say a big thank you, Paul, for obviously spending some time in your morning and my evening to have a chat about Devilskin. I really am looking forward to whether it's a single, whether it's an album. I'm hoping album, because I'm one of these people that likes to listen to an album from start to finish and fully digest the whole piece of work.
Yeah, me too,
but either
man.
way, I will still listen to the single or the album, and definitely if you're coming over here touring, I will definitely be coming to your show.
Mate, I quite look forward to having a beer with you.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, hey, thanks so much for having us, man, and all the best for A.D.K. Thank you for supporting heavy music and doing all the cool things that you do, and having so many great guests on your show and supporting us. We appreciate it, man. So, yeah, game on, party on when we get there. For sure.
Thank you very much. Take care, Paul.
Thanks, Dave. Have a great day, mate. Cheers. Bye bye.